I can't believe I'm making this video because what I'm gonna talk about is something that I am embarrassed to talk about because of the nature of issue that it was. Back in like 2011, I was sexually active, and I think that's what led to me eventually developing a yeast infection. You know, there's things that you can buy over the counter to treat a yeast infection at home, and I had no experience. I had never heard anyone else's opinion about it. I'd just seen like commercials and things like that. So I went to my local Walmart and I picked up some Monostat, and essentially it was this treatment. There was a cream. I used the treatment, and not even minutes after I had used it, I started to feel like an itching and burning sensation, and I was like, maybe this is normal. It kept getting worse and worse, and the itching intensified, and you know that when you have like an intense itch, you start to scratch it. And I had started scratching, and I kept scratching, and I couldn't make myself stop, and the itching just never stopped. I itched to the point where I was raw and bleeding, and so that marked the beginning of this 7-year-long issue that I had. A 7-year-long occurrence, event, that no matter what I did, the itching never went away. And the pH balance of my feminine parts, it didn't matter what state it was in, whether it was normal, whether the balance was off, it was always an intense itching sensation. I tried wearing very like constricting clothing so that I couldn't easily like put my hand past it. I'd wear like a belt, and I went to the doctor about it. They gave me something for jock itch. I used the ointment and it didn't cure it. It stayed the exact same that it was. I tried anti-itch stuff, which sort of worked sometimes, but not, it didn't really work. At this point in my life, I wanted to live the way I wanted to live. I wanted to go out drinking. I wanted to have unmarital sex. I wanted to live the way I wanted to, and like not be confined by religion and God's laws of religion, because that would mean I'd have to stop everything I was doing. I would have to wear long, loose shirts, and I would have to be an example. Like, I would have to force myself to be an example. In my mind, that's what it meant to be a Christian, is I have to like have such insane self-discipline that that's how I would be in line with what God wanted. I was in a relationship for the majority of this 7-year period. I was dating this person from like October 2010 until January 2015. So we were together for just over 5 years. And like, they knew about it, but they didn't really know what to do about it. I was so ashamed, and I still feel that shame, because it's not normal to go through something like that. It's not normal to, you know, be at the point of where you're you're bleeding because you can't stop yourself. But the person that I was with didn't believe in God. They very adamantly didn't believe in God. They refused to. He was a self-proclaimed atheist, and he told me at the beginning of our relationship that if I ever broke up with him for religion, then that would be the stupidest thing ever. And thinking back and like just reflecting now on those words, I'm like, just over 5 years later, it was on my heart to reach out to God, and he and I were fighting all the time. I was desperate to get out. I was desperately unhappy with that person, and I prayed for God to help me get out of there. And he did. At that very time, my mom and stepdad were in the process of buying a house. And I knew that they were, but I didn't know what kind of house. I didn't know where it was. I didn't know how many bedrooms they would have. But I reached out to my mom and said, I need somewhere to stay. I broke up with, we'll call him Francis. His name isn't Francis, but that's beside the point. And I was fully like committed and willing to like sleep on the couch for as long as I had to. And my mom, she's like, I understand. And we just so happened to have a spare room. So I moved into that spare room. At that point in time, I have absolutely no regrets about my decision and why I did what I did to break up with him. Like, I started reading my Bible. I had started to pray. And when I reached out to God and asked for him to help me out of this situation, he already had things lined up and planned for me to get out. Okay, so fast forward another 2 years, and I was living in my own apartment eventually with a new boyfriend, and we moved into an apartment it was a very, very nice location. So we moved in there, and it was the weekend that we were moving that we'd also planned to go on a trip back home to see my family in Canada. And my biological father is the reason that I believe what I do, that I believe in the Lord, and that I believe in Jesus Christ. It was during a visit with him, he prayed for me, and the prayer was something like, Lord, whatever it is that Janice is really struggling with, Lord, I ask that you lift it off her shoulders. And it was August 2018. So this issue went on from early 2011 to early/mid 2018, 7 years. I would go periods of time. I would go like a weekend without any itching, but then it would hit me again and it would come back full force just when I thought I had escaped it, and like it would come back. And this is before my dad prayed for me, but like it would go away and then it would come back, it'd go away and come back. And it would always return. And so he had prayed for me, and I didn't think anything of it at the time. But for the rest of the trip, I think there were 3 more days on our trip after that. For the rest of the trip, I noticed that I wasn't itching. And I was like, okay, this could just be another stint of time where it doesn't. And we made it back home. More time went by and it still hadn't returned. And I just remember thinking, like, what happened between that trip to Canada and now? Is that I changed my detergent? Was it a type of material that was impacting me? Like, I had tried multiple detergents. I tried the non-hypoallergenic, I tried dye-free, I tried unscented, and after that it never ever came back. And here we are in August 2020, 2 years later, and I have not been impacted. I have not had to itch myself raw. But the biggest factor that came to mind was that my dad had prayed for me. It impacted me, and I was reading the Bible every day, and I just realized what had happened, and that it wasn't my dad who cured me. It wasn't me. It was the Lord. And he did it so that I could use it as my testimony for his glory. God is real. Demons are real. Hell is real. I believe that people are susceptible to having demons attack them. And I think diseases and mental struggles are spiritual attack from demons. And when you pray and when you cry out to Jesus, the demons flee from him. They are afraid of Jesus. I don't know if this story was as impactful as I was hoping, but it is something that carries a lot of meaning for me. And so much so that I want to share it with people that I know, people that I have met online, people that I've met in person that are watching my channel. And I'm putting it all out there because it's not about me. My testimony is a testament of the Lord's faith and graciousness. For all things work together for good, for those who love God and for those who are the called according to his purpose. Romans 8:28. Every time something good fashions its way into my life, or if things are working out in a tough situation, like not having enough money to pay rent, and then I do, it's a testament of the Lord's faith and his love for us. I'm sharing this now, not just like out of nowhere, but because I'm inspired by people who have shared their faith online. I feel a calling to do so. I want to share.
It was incredible. It took me a few days to really understand. I've heard that he cured the blind and he healed the sick, and I knew all that, but within 1 second he took away something that I had been dealing with and struggling with for 4 years. That was his sign.
If you're new here, subscribe, and if you guys want to hear more about anything about my life, let me know and maybe I can make a video about it. So yeah, hit the thumbs up for me, and the more comments and thumbs up that I get, the more my videos have the ability of being viewed and like picked up by the YouTube algorithm. So ultimately I want for my channel to be successful so that I can continue making videos and like work from home and live a fulfilled life and share it with you guys. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.